I'm Rachel, this is John, and we are your hosts of The For Show.
The For Show is a weekly YouTube show to help you be more for the people in your life because we believe that Jesus is for you. Yep. So last week, Harney talked about seeing value in every person, even if it's an area that we struggle. I personally don't struggle anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
No. But do you have any areas that you struggle in?
That's why I was laughing, because yeah.
Yeah?
We'll pick one. How about we just pick the one that I struggle with? And it's usually while I'm driving, I think is a major factor. I tend to not be a very understanding or forgiving person while I'm driving. I'm just a very defensive driver and I pay too much attention to everything around me. So when someone is driving how I feel, you shouldn't be driving, I can get irate and just downright not very nice.
Not nice?
No. I struggle in that.
But you don't ever make any mistakes on the road. And you don't mess up in any way.
No. If I did, but
hypothetically
that's like a big if. Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking, if you did,
then I would want someone to be understanding and forgiving and gracious towards me, and think maybe she has something going on we don't know about. God made her just like He made me. So I should probably start doing that.
Maybe.
I should probably start thinking of other people that way too.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll pray about it.
Yeah. No. So today we're continuing the series called Love Thy Neighbor, because loving your neighbor is something most of us have heard, but it can be hard to take action. We're exploring the actions behind the concept.
Yep.
So we're going to throw it over to Harney.
Yep, but come back like usual, because we have some recaps, reminders, and rewards.
Some rewards, and this is a hot one.
It is. Hot like ouch, or hot like ooh, hi.
You just have to find out.
Okay, I'm excited. See ya.
So last episode we talked about this profound thing that Jesus said when he was asked, what's the greatest commandment? Basically, what's most important to God? And he said, love God, of course. And the second, or the co-important command, is love your neighbor as yourself. So last time we said that for us to get here, we have to evaluate how we think and what we do. So last week we talked about seeing the value in people, to realize that everyone is someone that God made and loves. And to begin in our conversations and our life interactions to live with that knowledge as we interact with people. Now, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, it's an easy click to go back and to catch up. But in this episode, we want to talk about that second part, what we do. And Luke lays out for us another time when an expert in the Jewish law asked Jesus the same question. What's the most important thing, Jesus? Well, Jesus this time pops it back over to the guy who responded, love the Lord your God with all your heart and your soul and your strength and all your mind. And he said, love your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus responded to this guy very positively. Yeah, that's right. But Luke tells us that this man wanted to justify his actions. So he asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? And the challenge in this question is probably what many of us think. What does that even mean, Jesus? Who are we really talking about here? And in response to him, Jesus does what he normally does. He tells a story. A story that takes everyone out of their comfort zone, and then he applies that command in the hardest context of their time. He tells the parable or the story of the Good Samaritan. Now, a parable is just a simple story used to illustrate a moral or a spiritual lesson. And that's what I want to look at today. And my hope is whether or not you already know this story, that you might actually be caught off guard with what it truly means. And what we're talking about here isn't about thinking and feeling. This is about doing. Jesus is about to give us a to-do list for loving your neighbor. And what I'm suggesting is that without this list, that we can only change our thinking. But the full command of love thy neighbor requires our doing. So, let me share the parable and see if you can spot the list while I do it. And then I'll share the list and how I think it should affect us. In Luke 10, Luke shares the story of the Good Samaritan. A story that most people at least know the title of, many people have heard, but few of us, whether we are Jesus followers or not, have actually thought about the implications of. So Jesus tells a story about a Jewish man traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho who gets attacked by bandits. They beat him up, they leave him for dead alongside the road, and then a priest comes along. But because blood would make him unclean in religious tradition, he moves to the other side of the road and passes by. Later on, a temple assistant comes by, also known as a Levite. But for the same religious reasons, needing to be available to love God, he walks over, looks at the man, but then continues on his journey on the other side of the road. Then Jesus pokes the bear. A despised Samaritan comes along, it says. And listen, we don't get this culturally, but that's what Samaritans were. They were despised by the Jewish people. We think of a Samaritan as good and helpful, but we know the end of the story. Many of us do, but they don't. They didn't. So here's what Jesus said and what Luke wrote down for us in Luke chapter 10, verse 33. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion. The Samaritan went over to the man, who would have in a normal situation pushed this Samaritan man away, but at this point, this Jewish man is desperate and open to anything. And this despised Samaritan bandages up the Jewish man, puts him on his donkey, takes him to an inn, and takes care of him for the evening. The next day, then, he hands the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, "Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here." And 2 silver coins is significant because in that time, that was the equivalent of a day's wage. So here's this Samaritan man. He's seen a beaten and left for dead man alongside the road, a man that in his mind, and he's right, would just walk over him if the tables were turned. But he breaks through that societal barrier in his own mind, and he shows undeserved love. Not only that, but he paid a huge price. He delays his travel, and he gives up a day's wage with the promise of more money to the innkeeper. And then Jesus asks a question. Now, which of these would you say was the neighbor to the man who was attacked? And of course, the man replies, the one who showed him mercy, the one who turned around, the one who saw him for who he was and what was really going on, the one who didn't let societal and religious barriers stop him, the one who paid the price when he didn't have to. And then Jesus said, yeah, now go do the same. And this is what our society needs. This is the essence of love thy neighbor. And really, anyone can play along, but for those of us who say we are Christians, who want to follow Jesus' example, this is a must. We need to get this right. So we need to change the way we think, like what we said last week. We need to know that everyone is someone that God made and loves, and then we need to follow the to-do list that Jesus just gave us. Here's the list in case you missed it. We need to notice the need. There is a need we're going to have to be willing to notice in the people around us, and I meant to say it that way. We have to be willing to notice people who are in need. But it doesn't just stop with seeing it. We can all see need, really, when we try. Because there's also a barrier to break through. There's something that stops us from acting on those needs that we notice. Many times it's our comfort, because it's uncomfortable to be in situations where people have need. Sometimes it's a bias towards a person or a group of people. Maybe it's a disagreement. We don't like their political stance. We don't believe the same way that they do. We don't like something that they stand for. And so a barrier pops up to us loving them. But even when we recognize that barrier, name it for what it is, and try to break through it, there's still one last thing we have to do. There's a price to pay. Sometimes it's a financial price to give of what we have to someone else who is in need. Sometimes it's a cost of our time, maybe our comfort, our relational connections, what someone might think of us. But there's always a price. So who is someone, or maybe a group of someone's in your life that you need to notice what's happening with them. What's the barrier you need to identify? And will you have the courage to break it and to pay the price? Because when we do this, when we change how we think, when we look at the people in the world around us, and when we change what we do, when we see the people around us as valuable, then we begin to truly love thy neighbor.
Welcome back. So last week Harney talked about changing the way we think, and this week he talked about changing what we do. So I know you have a lot of friends.
So many.
So do you have, do you ever notice any needs that those friends might have?
Yeah.
And ways that you can break the barrier and be for them?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends. It's funny, I attract people who are similar in personality to me. Hey. But I do have a lot of friends who push themselves too far, just in life in general. And it ultimately leaves them being impacted negatively because they stretch themselves too thin by pushing themselves too far. And I'm not very good at being brave enough to say, hey, I'm noticing, maybe you should relax, take a break, maybe don't push yourself so far. So I think I need to be better at that. Telling them what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear.
So just
looking out for them.
Uncomfortable but constructive conversations.
Yes. Loving.
Yeah.
I love you, so I'm saying this.
Just being for them by
pointing out
not letting them spread themselves too thin and burn themselves out.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, that's cool. So another place where you can have nice, constructive conversations is our circles.
That was a big one. That was bigger than last week.
Yeah. So our circles, nothing's really changed.
Nope. Couple circles, still going strong.
Thriving.
Yeah.
And the women's circle is open.
Yep.
And
you can still come to that one.
Sundays 6:30 to 8 at the Coffee Hub in Beaver Creek. And the men's circle is Fridays 6:30 p.m. And yeah, so those are good places to go and just, like I said, have constructive conversations with people who are for you. So.
And then you being the event.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the event because that's whatever you make it, I guess.
Yeah. You're the event this time. So we want you guys to throw a party for your friends.
Or just for yourself.
For your neighbors.
A party for one.
Yeah, for your family. So
Memorial Day, I think, was the challenge. Yeah. Was it a challenge?
Challenge.
Just do it on Memorial Day. It's easier. So strongly suggested that you do it on Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. It's a fun weekend.
Yeah.
So
why not do it?
Yeah.
All the information for our circles, for the little event thingy that we're making you do, any of that can be found at bridgedayton.com or the Church Center app, which I prefer the Church Center app. It's just easy to use. One little click. That's how I do my giving too. Church Center app. Because your giving keeps us giving. And speaking of giving.
Yes. We got a hot one. And
today. I now know what it is.
Yeah. We got a hot one today. And if you're planning an event, this is a good one for that.
Be great.
This is a very good one for that. Buffalo wings. No. No, it's a bonfire kit. So we're gonna have just everything that you need
to have a little bonfire.
We'll have
to wrap up your little cookout get-together thing you're doing.
Some marshmallows, some graham crackers, some
chocolate
chocolate bars.
Somebody likes Reese's with their s'mores,
Reese's
so that
s'mores.
might be in there. Who knows?
Game changer. Reese's s'mores.
I'll take your word for it.
Not a sponsor.
Not.
So yeah, we're just doing that the same way.
But this time you're gonna tag a neighbor.
Yeah.
Whether they're next to you, maybe across the street, maybe they're diagonal.
They're in front of you.
Or maybe
behind
they
you.
live on the other side of town. You just want to have them. You just want to tag them so they can win. And then maybe hope they ask you to come over so you can
Yep. But
get some of that.
the reward will be delivered to the winner
It
in
will.
time for
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
So
If you so
make sure you tag a neighbor.
Yep.
Yeah.
On Sunday, I think, is when it posts.
Yep.
Wednesday, we choose the winner.
Yep.
Like usual. Doesn't
Can't
change.
wait.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
Can't. I'm so excited.
So before you go, click subscribe, like, comment, before someone in your life by sending them this video and some of our past ones. Of course, you can always
share
go
it on
back.
your social media.
Yeah.
That's a good way to knock out several people at once.
Yeah, just tag.
Somebody tag you.
Yeah. So go before someone this week.
See ya.
And love your neighbor.
You know what? We're here. Okay.
We're here. We're for you.
Kick it on it.
Roll the tape.